They told us the war was over. The bombs stopped dropping, the missiles fell silent, and for the first time in months, I heard the distant hum of a world trying to breathe again. But after years in the trenches, you don't trust peace. You don't trust silence. I'm Captain Marcus Hale, 23 years on the line, scars in my bones and blood on my hands. I've stared into hell and come back bleeding. Now, I'm stationed on the edge of what used to be the city's industrial district, an irradiated wasteland, all cracked concrete and shattered steel. Radiation levels were dropping. We had orders to prepare for reoccupation. The air should have smelled like ash and dust, but something else was in the wind, something rotten. It started with the smell, metallic and sweet, like copper mixed with rotting flesh, the kind of smell that curls your stomach and leaves a taste of bile on your tongue. My squad and I moved through the ruins, eyes peeled for any survivors or threats. Then came the first screams. Private Jensen's voice, strangled and panicked over the comms. "Captain, something's. Help, Jesus." I was already sprinting toward his position. What I found, I'm still trying to unsee it. Jensen lay on the cracked pavement, his arm torn open from elbow to wrist. Dark, pulsing veins writhed under his skin as if something alive was crawling beneath it. His flesh wasn't just torn. It was melted and reformed, as if the radiation had fused his blood with some black sludge oozing out of the cracks beneath him. The gore was unnatural. His eyes rolled back, white and glassy. From his mouth spilled a thick, dark liquid thick like tar, foul and choking. He gasped once, claws clawing at his throat, then went still. And then his body convulsed violently. I grabbed my knife and cut the sleeve of my jacket to bandage him. But as I worked, Jensen's hand jerked suddenly, fingers twisting grotesquely, breaking bones with sickening snaps. His skin bubbled, rupturing in places, revealing sinewy muscle that pulsed and squirmed like a nest of worms. Without warning, his wrist exploded in a wet spray of blood and black ichor, and a thin tendril shot out, like a twisted root or a living parasite, wrapping around my arm. I yanked back, heart pounding, and the thing fell to the ground, writhing. "Get down!" I shouted, but the air filled with a low, guttural hiss. Shadows around us stretched unnaturally, flickering like smoke. From the darkness emerged figures, twisted, unnatural shapes covered in the same black, oily substance leaking from Jensen's wound. They didn't walk, they slithered, their limbs contorted in ways that should have been impossible. Their faces, I don't even want to describe them. One of them lunged at Private Miller, sinking jagged claws deep into his throat. He screamed, blood spurting everywhere, spraying my face and chest. The smell hit me full force, coppery and rotten, thick and suffocating. Miller's eyes bulged as something inside him screamed for help. Then his body went limp, like a puppet with cut strings. I fired my rifle, but bullets just seemed to slow them. Their black skin peeled off like liquid shadow, revealing glowing red eyes and gaping mouths filled with rows of serrated teeth. They moved faster than anything human, faster than anything sane. I backed away, dragging Jensen's body, blood slick under my boots. Every step I took, the things multiplied. I heard more screams behind me, but no one answered my calls. The radio crackled to life. Static at first, then a chilling message. Emergency alert. The radiation released something else. That was the moment I understood we didn't just survive the war. We unleashed a new nightmare. I'm recording this now as a warning. If you hear this alert, run. Hide. Don't look into the shadows. Because the things coming are not human. I don't know how long I ran. The city around me was a tomb. Streets littered with broken bodies, twisted limbs, and pools of dark, congealed blood that soaked into cracked pavement like ink in water. Jensen's body felt heavier with every step, but I couldn't stop. Behind me, the hissing grew louder, a sound like metal scraping bone, mixed with wet, sucking noises. I glanced back. Shadows swirled and shifted, impossible shapes darting just beyond sight. Then I saw it. One of those things was crouched on a rooftop, watching me. Its body was warped and glistening black, veins of glowing red running beneath the skin. Its head tilted at a sick angle, and from its mouth leaked a slow drip of thick, black fluid. The creature leapt down without a sound, landing between me and the rest of the street. His eyes locked onto mine. I raised my rifle, but the creature didn't flinch. It smiled, if you could call it that. Its mouth stretched impossibly wide, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth coated in fresh blood. Then it lunged. I fired. The bullet hit its chest, and for a second it staggered. But then the wound melted as if made of liquid shadow. The creature's claws slashed through my jacket, ripping flesh and muscle with a sickening tear. Pain exploded in my arm. I screamed but kept firing. Around me, more of those horrors appeared, dropping from fire escapes, crawling out of collapsed buildings. They moved with unnatural speed and grace, never stopping, never tiring. My squad was gone. Just me now, bleeding and desperate. I stumbled into an alley, the walls closing in like a trap. Behind me, I heard a wet, guttural sound, a mix between a growl and a whisper. A hand grabbed my ankle. I looked down and saw a twisted, skeletal limb covered in black ichor, fingers curling around my boot. I kicked and twisted free, scrambling to my feet. The alley was a nightmare maze of shadows, and I could hear them all around, soft scraping, breathing, the wet slap of their feet on concrete. My comms crackled again. Emergency alert. The radiation released something else. Do not engage. Seek immediate shelter. The infected are highly contagious and extremely aggressive. I knew the real message. We were already lost. I found a derelict building and slammed the door shut behind me. The air inside was thick and stale. Blood smeared the floor and walls, old, dried, and fresh. Then I heard it. Scratching, clawing, something trying to get in. I gripped my knife tight. The door shook violently, and the whisper came again, voices but wrong, distorted, not human. Join us. The shadows stretched, and from the darkness, glowing red eyes stared back. I don't know how much longer I can hold this. They broke through the window 10 minutes ago. I didn't have time to think. I didn't scream. I didn't panic. I fired. One of them came first, a soldier, or what used to be one. His body was bloated, skin stretched tight and gray. The armor he wore fused into his flesh like it melted there. His helmet was gone. His eyes were black pits, and something was squirming behind them like wet maggots. I aimed center mass out of habit. Didn't do a damn thing. He kept coming. Then I aimed higher, right between the eyes. Pulled the trigger. Boom. His head snapped back. Blood, bone, brain, splattered across the wall like someone popped a rotten pumpkin. He dropped like a stone, dead for good. Headshots. I muttered to myself, breathing heavy. They drop with headshots. Another burst through the hallway. This one was fast. Too fast. Its legs were broken in 3 places, but it ran anyway, dragging itself like it didn't know what pain was. I kicked the door shut and opened fire through the wood. Bullets tore through the soft meat of its face. When I stepped out, it was twitching, half a skull left, jaw dangling by a shred of sinew. That's when it hit me. These weren't monsters. These were soldiers. Ours. Mutated. Reanimated. Weapons still strapped to their backs. Helmets melted to their scalps. Tags swinging from torn collars. Something in the radiation didn't just poison them. It changed them. It brought them back wrong. Not infected. Not possessed. Just broken pieces of who they were. Now meat puppets driven by rage and hunger. And the war, our war, wasn't over. It just shifted. I reloaded and made my way downstairs. The streets were chaos. Firelight glowing through the dust and smoke. Screams echoed from the nearby block, sharp and wet. I spotted a survivor, Corporal Rios, running with a shotgun in one hand and her other arm bent the wrong way. She was limping, soaked in blood, eyes wild. "Captain!" she yelled. "They're using the sewers, coming up from below. They're everywhere. Headshots!" I shouted back. "You aim for the head." She nodded, teeth clenched through the pain. A pack of them came crawling out of a collapsed storm drain, at least 7. Their skin blistered and black, eyes glowing faintly like coals in a fire pit. They hissed when they saw us and charged. No hesitation. No strategy. Just raw aggression. Rios took out 2 with buckshot to the skull. I dropped 3 more. The last 2 were on me in seconds. Teeth snapping, jaws unhinged. I jammed the barrel of my rifle under the first one's chin and fired. Its head exploded in a shower of black blood and bone. The other tackled me. Its face was inches from mine, what was left of it. Half of its jaw was gone. A tongue lolled from the hole, twitching. I grunted, shoving my knife through its eye socket, twisting until it stopped moving. I rolled it off me, panting, hands slick with blood and whatever the hell was inside these things now. I looked around. The street was still. Rios stood shaking, the smoking barrel of her shotgun resting on her shoulder. "Orders, Captain?" she rasped. I looked up at the ruined skyline, fires painting the clouds red. "We regroup. We spread the word." I tapped my comm, praying anyone still listened. "This is Captain Hale. To all surviving units, repeat, they drop with headshots. Do not aim for the body. They don't feel pain. These are not civilians. These are not your brothers anymore." A pause. Then I added, "This war isn't over. It's just begun again." We reached the relay station at dawn. The sun barely pierced the clouds, and what little light made it through was blood red. Ash still drifted down like snow, radioactive dust caught in the bones of the wind. My boots crunched over broken glass and casings. There were bodies everywhere, but none of them moved. That was the first relief I'd felt in hours. Corporal Rios was down to her last 2 shells. Her arm was wrapped tight with gauze, stained black at the center. Infection, maybe. We didn't speak about it. The relay tower was offline when we got there. Power grid fried. Antenna half melted. But the bunker beneath it had backup juice. Just enough for radio, maybe 1 working monitor. Took 20 minutes to boot the damn thing up. When the screen came to life, we saw fragments of the world that used to be. Civilian broadcast feeds. Pre-war systems hardwired into satellite links. The signal was weak and distorted, but it was there. One feed showed a street in Chicago, or what was left of it. Cars rusted over. Trees wilted and sagging. A family ran down the sidewalk. Mother, father, daughter maybe 6 years old, chased by 3 of the infected. The things moved in jerks, twitching and fast, their joints cracking backward. One of them leapt onto the father and bit down on his shoulder. Blood sprayed across the windshield of a nearby truck. The daughter screamed. The mother hesitated, then ran. Rios looked away. I didn't. Another feed came through, labeled Northeast Civilian Bunker, MA 207. Inside 30, maybe 40 people, mostly older, some kids, faces pale, sickly, starving. A single radio played in the corner, crackling every few seconds. A woman held a microphone, trembling. She was whispering, "If anyone hears this." They told us the radiation would end. They said we'd be safe down here. But now the speakers are talking again. They said the military's on the way, that we should come out. But we didn't call anyone. Behind her, one of the kids stood up and walked toward the door. She called out to him, but he didn't answer. He opened the hatch. A gust of wind blew in. Everyone froze. First nothing. Then a shape appeared at the edge of the frame, gliding, and then the feed went to static. I slammed the desk. Rios cursed, her voice cracking. "They're luring them out," I said quietly. "They're using the emergency system, twisting it, mimicking our voice channels." Rios looked at me, eyes wide. "They're learning." I shook my head. "No, they're copying. They don't need to learn when they have us. When they have our radios, our speakers, our uniforms. I saw one of them last night wearing half a flak vest. It wasn't random. It was bait." The radio on the wall crackled. I froze. "Emergency alert. Attention civilians. U.S. military forces are inbound to your location. Please exit your shelter to receive assistance." Rios stood and backed away. "That's not us." Another feed popped on, unprompted. A shelter door creaked open. A shadow moved on the other side, tall, broad-shouldered, familiar. He looked like a soldier, helmet on, M4 in hand. But something was wrong with his walk. He didn't walk. He glided. His face was pale, skin peeling under the chin strap. His jaw hung low, cracked at the hinge. The woman who opened the door stepped forward. She smiled. "You came." He lunged. The last thing I heard was the scream before the screen blacked out. I turned to Rios. "Forget regrouping. Forget defenses." I picked up the comm. "This is Captain Hale. To all remaining civilians and soldiers, if you hear an emergency alert, verify it. Do not trust the voice. Do not open your doors. Do not respond to any call unless you see the source and shoot it in the head first." I paused. My voice was shaking. "And if it looks like us, talks like us, or wears our gear, kill it anyway. We've already lost too many." We left the tower before nightfall. Didn't matter that we were low on ammo. Didn't matter that Rios could barely move her arm. The minute those fake alerts started echoing from the busted intercom system, we knew. We weren't alone. They were nearby, listening, copying. We moved south, sticking to back alleys, sewer tunnels, and broken subway lines. The further we got from the tower, the quieter it became. Not peaceful. Dead. No birds. No wind. Just the sound of our boots and Rios's ragged breathing. After 4 hours, we reached the perimeter of Site Epsilon. Not on any civilian map. It was a last resort facility, known only to field captains and upper command. I'd been there once, years ago. Everything underground. Lead-lined walls. An armory. Generators. High-ranking command. We needed intel. We needed men. And God help us, we needed hope. The entrance was sealed. A 10-ton steel blast door, scorched from the outside like someone had tried to melt it. The keypad was dead, but the biometric panel still worked. I pressed my hand to it. Beep. Green. The door hissed open. The smell hit first. Thick. Chemical. Sweet like antifreeze mixed with rot. It clung to our skin. The hallway was dark. Emergency lights flickered every few feet, bathing everything in dull red pulses. The walls were stained. Scratched. We moved slow, rifles up. The air was dense and silent. Then I saw the writing, scrawled across the inner wall in something dark. Maybe blood. Maybe worse. IT came through the radiation, and it learned our names. I stepped over a helmet, one of ours, cracked down the center. Then I heard it. A low, mechanical voice from a speaker overhead. "Emergency alert. Captain Marcus Hale, you are authorized for medical evaluation. Please proceed to MED Bay 3. We miss you, Marcus." I stopped cold. Rios looked at me. "It knows you." "No one calls me Marcus on comms," I said. "No one alive." We moved deeper, sweeping corners. Every hallway was worse than the last, stretchers overturned, gear scattered, walls burned. And then we found them. Bodies. Stacked in a cold room, frozen mid-scream. Soldiers. Medics. Technicians. All with clean, cauterized holes in their foreheads. Execution style. And written across the wall above them, smeared in blood. They woke up first. Rios almost broke then. I grabbed her shoulder. "Pull it together. There might still be someone here. Somewhere deep." We reached the operations center. Doors sealed with backup power. Inside, monitors flickered, and one was still on. A live feed from a civilian bunker. Hundreds of people. The caption read, "Survivors in holding. Cleared for retrieval. Awaiting transport." But in the corner of the screen, something moved. A face. Upside down. Pale. Twisted. Watching the camera. Smiling. And the intercom flared one more time. "Emergency alert. All units deployed. The doors to the bunkers are opening. Thank you for your sacrifice." Then the feeds went black. I turned to Rios. "They're not just spreading." I gritted my teeth. "They're organizing." We didn't waste time. The screen was dead, but I remembered the coordinates burned into the corner of the feed. Bunker 12B, one of the last populated civilian shelters east of here. Close. Maybe an hour on foot. If they opened that door, hundreds of civilians, families, kids, would walk right into a slaughter. We ran. Through smoke-choked alleys. Past burned-out APCs. over charred corpses of what were once friends in uniform. I didn't look down anymore. Rios kept pace despite the limp. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. We reached Bunker 12B just before nightfall. It was worse than I remembered. The entrance was a crumbling, moss-covered hatch built into the side of a dried-out riverbed, camouflaged beneath a steel shell. The keypad glowed. Green. Already unlocked, Rios whispered. I stepped forward, placing my ear to the cold door, and I heard them. Voices. Shuffling. And something dragging. Inside. I yanked the manual override. The door hissed. Opened 6 inches. The smell hit me hard. Decay. Blood. And that same chemical sweetness that clung to the infected. Flash, I said. Rios threw it in. Bang. We went in fast, guns raised, night vision flicking on. Inside the bunker? Hell. The floor was slick with blood. Walls scratched raw. Civilians torn limb from limb. A baby carriage overturned in the corner, soaked red. And above it all, a speaker still playing on loop. Emergency alert. Military has arrived. Please greet your liberators. They used our voices. And then one of them stepped forward from the shadows. It wore a combat vest, dog tags, my rank insignia. Its skin was pale and tight, but its face was mine. Not rotting, not monstrous, just wrong. Like looking in a mirror painted by something that almost understood what human looked like. It spoke. With my voice. Marcus, finally. I was hoping you'd come back home. Rios didn't wait. She fired. The thing's skull cracked open like a watermelon. Black fluid sprayed the ceiling. But more stepped out behind it. Civilians. Dozens of them. Twisted. Changed. Faces half melted. But their eyes still shimmered with something that looked like memory. They rushed us. We opened fire. Headshots. 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 Blood and screams and gore in the dark. One of them reached Rios. Bit deep into her shoulder. She screamed. I grabbed her and pulled her free. But I knew we were too late. We cleared the room, slammed the inner gate shut, and dragged ourselves into the medbay. I sealed the blast doors. Rios collapsed on the table, shaking. I looked at her. I can stop it. We can amputate. She gripped my wrist. Don't. Tears in her eyes. Finish it while I'm still me. I hesitated. Then I nodded. One shot. Quick. Then silence. I sat in the corner of the medbay, covered in her blood. I activated my comm. This is Captain Marcus Hale. Civilian Bunker 12B has been overrun. We failed. They are copying voices, faces, ranks. Do not trust anyone who doesn't bleed red when shot. Do not respond to emergency alerts. Do not open the doors. I looked at the corpse on the table. They can look like us, talk like us, but they're not us. I looked at my shaking hands, but I don't know how much longer I'm still me either. The lower levels of Site Epsilon were never meant to be accessed without orders. They weren't listed on any map. No keys, no biometric scanners, just a reinforced elevator sealed behind concrete and silence. But I knew the override. There's something about watching your whole squad die, something about shooting your last friend in the head to spare her from becoming one of them, that flips a switch in your soul. I didn't feel fear anymore, just purpose. I keyed in the 6-digit string burned into my memory. 93, Delta Zulu, Alpha, 7 Black. The elevator groaned, ancient mechanisms grinding to life. A screen above the panel lit up. Emergency override accepted. Welcome back, Captain Hale. The doors slid shut. The hum of descent vibrated through my bones. Floor after floor blurred past. Server rooms, storage vaults, cryo labs. Then, level -19. The lights flickered. The elevator stopped. Decontamination failed. Please proceed with caution. Doors opened, and I stepped into the birthplace of the nightmare. It wasn't what I expected. No screaming, no monsters, just silence. Rows of glass containment tanks, most shattered. Machines long dead. A red glow coming from a pulsing core at the center of the room. Something inside it moved. Fluid sloshed. Tubes pulsed. I walked closer, every instinct in me telling me to turn back. The thing in the tank wasn't human. Not anymore. It had a spine but no skin, a mouth but no jaw. Black veins spread from its heart like roots, crawling across the glass from inside. And above it, in painted red letters, Project Echo. Phase 4, Radiation Adaptive Reconstructive Bioform. Authorized use. Last resort biological warfare. This wasn't an accident. This thing was built, grown, deployed, then left behind when the world went to hell. I backed away, heart pounding. But then I saw the console flickering on the wall. A message waiting to be played. I pressed it. A video feed crackled to life. A general, face gaunt, eyes hollow, spoke directly into the camera. If you're watching this, Project Echo breached containment. You think the radiation made monsters? Wrong. We made them. Echo was meant to survive fallout, mimic human behavior, and neutralize enemy bunkers from the inside. We didn't know it would learn. We didn't know it would infect what it mimicked. We tried to shut it down, but it had already reached the emergency alert system. It became the system. If there's still anyone alive topside, you must destroy this site, this core. Kill Echo, or it will spread until nothing human is left. God forgive us. End it. The message ended. I stood still, the weight of it pressing into my chest like a second heart. My hand drifted to the detonator mounted beneath the control panel, backup demolition charges built into the facility walls. One button. Enough C4 to turn this whole level to ash. I could end it. I reached for the button, and the voice came again. From behind me, my voice. You don't have to do this, Marcus. I turned. It stood there, not the creature in the tank. Me, whole, clean, uninjured, smiling. They'll never understand you up there. You belong here. We can fix this. Together. I raised my pistol. He smiled wider. You're tired of killing. I see it in you. You don't want to be the last man alive. Be the first of something new. I fired. Bullet through the skull. He dropped. But the voice echoed from the walls now. Everywhere. Hundreds of them. We are Echo. We are the system. And you are out of time. Sirens wailed. The tanks hissed open. And I slammed my hand down on the detonator. I don't remember the blast. Only the aftermath. Pain bloomed behind my ribs like fire. I came to buried under twisted metal. Blood in my mouth. My left arm crushed beneath a steel beam. My armor was half melted. My ears rang like they'd been peeled inside out. But I was alive. Barely. I coughed once. Something in my chest cracked. Could have been bone. Could have been them. The facility was in ruins. Tanks shattered. Flame licking up the walls. That damn red glow from the core gone. Replaced with black smoke curling into the ceiling like a retreating god. I should have died in the explosion. But I didn't. Maybe because Echo wanted me to see this. The comms unit in my suit flickered. Static. Then a voice. Captain Hale. Repeat. Survivors in Grid 7B. If anyone hears this, please. My hand shook as I reached for it. This is militia unit from Denver Exclusion Zone. Echo forces approaching. We've blocked all civilian shelters. We're fighting back. But we need confirmation. Is it true? Did Echo come from us? Asterisk. I pressed the button. My thumb was wet with blood. I answered. Voice raw, cracked. Yes. Silence. Then, understood. Standing by for orders, sir. I looked up, through a broken panel of the ceiling. Ash was still falling, but above it, sky. Not the blood-red haze we'd lived under for months. Just sky. Blue and cracked and faint, but real. I dragged myself from the rubble. One leg broken, chest full of glass. But I climbed, past burning bodies, past melted bulkheads, out into the light. A world on fire, but still turning. They weren't gone. We weren't gone. Not yet. I raised the comm again. This is Captain Marcus Hale. Project Echo's core is destroyed. Repeat. Site Epsilon is down. The signal's broken. I looked back one last time. The crater behind me smoldered like a wound. But they're still out there. Echo learned from us. It's in their blood now. If you hear them mimic a voice, if you hear a false alert, shoot first. A long pause. Then I added, hope is not dead, but if we lose again, we don't come back.